Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to the Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Today our guest is Anthony. Anthony, how are you doing today?
It's a sunny day actually here in Berlin, so it's a good day.
Great. Anthony, can you please let us know where you live and what you do?
Okay, so I'm based out of Berlin in Germany. I'm the CTO and co-founder of API Toolkit, which is a platform that tries to help engineering teams find and fix issues before their customers even know there was some issue.
Well, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. You are helping people a lot. Okay. Awesome. So in this case, Anthony, what are your core responsibilities? What are the responsibilities that you are handling? Because as a founder, there's a possibility that you are handling everything. But still, if you can share some of your core responsibilities, this will be great.
To be honest, I actually handle much of everything. I think in the beginning, it's usually not so clear, even when you try to hire people. So I have a team, but even then, you need to be aware of pretty much everything that is going on by everyone in the team. That way you can plan and you can manage everyone. So that means I'm doing things like getting on calls with customers, sometimes outreach, but also, of course, engineering, making sure things are working very well, and speaking at conferences. So just whatever needs to be done to push the business forward. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. You are making sure your business works well.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, Anthony, for your business, obviously, for every business, marketing is important, and I believe it will be important for your business as well. So, let me know, how you are managing the marketing part. You are doing this online or offline? Because nowadays, digital marketing is on its top. I believe every company is doing digital marketing, but sometimes there are requirements to do the offline marketing as well. So I'm not sure how you are managing. You're just relying on the online, or you're doing the offline as well.
I think that question usually depends on where things are. So there's like two kinds of marketing that you would do. There's marketing for brand awareness, and then there's marketing for conversion. Both kinds of marketing are important at different points. So for us, it changes. So there are times where we're doing a lot more social media, top of funnel advertising, social media, Google, AdWords, things like that. And right now we try to do a lot more in person kind of marketing, in a sense that we try to show up at conferences, have a booth, talk to, since our tool is mainly used by other engineering teams. So we want to be at this kind of engineering conferences where we can talk to engineers, learn more about their use cases, just merge, get ideas. So it's still marketing because there's brand awareness that comes from these engineers seeing you at the conference and talking to you. But it's a lot more closer to the bottom of the funnel because, you skip a lot of steps and you already just have a conversation.
Makes sense. So in terms of the client acquisition, what your process looks like, how you do the client acquisition?
Just in general, right? Not just conferences. So our funnel looks like this. So obviously we have, when we go to conferences and speak with engineers, and that sometimes leads to meetings and eventually the conversion to being a paying customer. But then there's also the inbound, which we do a lot more of. And what that looks like is especially things like Google AdWords, that when people search for topics that are related to the problem we solve, we would be somewhere at the top of the search result. So we do that for Google AdWords, but we also do a lot of SEO. So we can, get some of that traffic without paying for it. And when these people come, sometimes when you search for something, it doesn't mean you're really ready to pay or to buy that thing yet. So sometimes that individual would look around, get an idea, and then forget. Maybe they go do something else and then they forget about it. And that's where something called retargeting ads comes into play. So we usually have retargeting, just a way of reminding these users. And when they are on different places on the internet, on Twitter, they just see a small advert that mentions API Toolkit. I think there's a statistic that it usually takes like more than 10 touch points before a sale happens.
Obviously. So once Obviously, you are reaching your clients, and when you reach your clients, after this, there is an onboarding process. So, how your onboarding process looks like how you onboard them, what is the eligibility criteria, and so what's the process in your terms?
So we are a developer tool in some sense. Developers are they're a very specific kind of customer because they hate the traditional sales driven approach to onboarding is they hate it so much. And even though you really want to get any customer to jump on a call, to understand them better, developers hate that so much. The goal, the ideal is that our products should be like what's the word? Like product led, where a user who comes in can, learn everything they need to learn and know how to navigate the product without speaking with any of us. That is the ideal. The practice is that this works for, let's say, 40, 50% of, or actually a little bit more, maybe 60% of developers. But because there are a lot of developers who would also come, maybe they get confused or they get lost and they don't complete the expected steps, the expected onboarding steps. And in that case, my team will now reach out and say, hey, we saw you were doing XYZ, but you got stuck at this point. Did you run into any problems? Can we help you? Can we jump on a call? So that's how we are able to sneak in the more sales approach into the onboarding workflow.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Awesome. So, Anthony, in terms of success, like obviously you are not just onboarding your clients, you are helping them as well. So, at the end, this thing has to lead towards a success. So, in terms of success, what do you consider the success? Obviously, to understand a success, there can be one parameter which is revenue, numbers of revenue. But on the other hand, if we put it aside, there can be a lot other parameters for you to measure the success. So how you are measuring the success after all these?
There are two ways you can do a SaaS or a tech business. You can be, the traditional sales cycles where you convince some company to get locked into some many 2-year, 5-year contracts. And then it doesn't care if your product is shitty since they've already signed. And, it's like, but there's the other approach, which customers can leave at any time. So you want to be really good and really useful to them so that they can stay and they can refer you to others. So our main measure of success is one, stickiness. Our customers coming back every day or every other day or every week. And are we really solving the problems that they came to us to solve? Everything else is usually a side effect. If the customer is happy and you're solving their problem, they don't mind paying because the problem is important enough. But if you pursue or just maximizing revenue from a customer, you might maximize that revenue in the short term, but then when they churn because, they're not getting value.
Makes sense. So, Anthony, what is the area of your service? Like, are you providing your services just in Berlin, or just in Germany, in the whole world? So, what is your location?
So, in theory, it's the whole world, and that is because we have customers in the US, in Europe, in Africa, in Nigeria. We even have in India and different places. But in practice, even though we have customers in those places, you can't really target everywhere actively, like in your marketing, and right. You need to be a little bit, or at least we realize that we're a very small team and we have to be focused. And so our focus is mainly Europe and Africa because I have, some ties over there. And there's a very big fintech scene, for example, in Nigeria. And so right now we have a lot of fintechs who are our customers from the Nigerian ecosystem. But our focus is really Europe outside of that fintech ecosystem. Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. So, Anthony, every entrepreneur, every business owner faces a lot of challenges. Every day there is a new challenge for entrepreneurs. So, I'm 100% sure you must have faced a lot of challenges. But just in case, can you please share one challenge with us? And if you can share with us, like how you were able to cope up with that challenge.
So, challenge in terms of running the business.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it have to be a challenge that has been solved or a challenge that we're still solving?
You can share anyone.
Okay, so I think a challenge that is very close to my current situation is building a work culture where everyone is very, very motivated and self-driven. And that's a challenge I'm trying to solve because, it's this fairly small team. And because of, what we're trying to do and how small we are, it means everyone is very busy, including me and the other founders. So for the employees in the company, becomes like, since I am also busy, I can't really manage people in the same way as if I was only managing. So how do you now get the people, or how do you build a culture where people can be self-driven, where even if you're not like closely managing them, that they can take ownership of what they're doing. They can, be, there's a word I'm trying to remember, but where you are a self-starter, where you on your own, initiate.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. So if you have advice and ideas, please share.
Anthony, what are your short-term goals like in maybe next 6 months?
Next 6 months, we're trying to build just stronger market share. We want to just have a stronger presence in our niche. Yeah, we operate in a niche that has some big players like Datadog, Sentry. So it's not very easy to gain market share in this kind of niches, but it's the challenge that is cut out for us.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So at the end, Anthony, I would be looking for a biggest piece of advice from your side for other entrepreneurs and for the ones who are planning to start their own business.
Maybe for those who are trying to start, plan, it usually takes longer than you think it will take. It's easy to look on Twitter and in all of these places and hear about these Silicon Valley startups who got to $100 million in 1 year. It's, maybe your startup might be like them or like theirs, and kudos to you for making that work. But it's more likely that it's going to take 3 years, to even gain clarity on what you're building. Because at the beginning, you think you know what problem you're solving, but it's only when you get out in the market, you're talking to customers and you're watching customers use your tool, that your clarity or your idea and understanding of what you're solving starts to take shape. So yeah, just plan and make sure you can hang in there long enough.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, obviously it can always take more time than you are thinking about. And still, this is not bad. Still, this is good. And you just have to be patient and confident on it. Makes sense. Well, that's a beautiful advice, Anthony. So at the end,
Thanks,
please
Qasim.
let your viewers know how they can reach you. If someone wants to reach you, you can share your email, website, social media handle, whatever you want.
So if you want to chat with me as a person, I'm most active on Twitter at Tony Alaribe, ToniAlaribe. And my company is API Toolkit, which is API Toolkit.io. We're a monitoring and observability software that focuses on catching problems within, customer behavior, API calls, database calls, etc.
Well, that's awesome. And Anthony, I really enjoyed the conversation. It was a good session. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Qasim.
Stay in touch.
Thanks, Qasim. I had a lot of fun, and kudos for making this happen.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.